The silence in the five-star Manhattan restaurant was shattered by a firm voice, almost a whisper, but loud enough to make the billionaire freeze with his fork in midair. "That's not what the contract says." The waitress spoke in perfect Mandarin, each syllable pronounced with surgical precision that made the Chinese businessman beside her choke on his $3,000 wine. No one should have understood that conversation. No one in that restaurant at that moment should have spoken Mandarin. Except for Mr. Zhang and his assistant, of course. They had chosen this place precisely for this reason, to discuss the final details of a $700 million deal without anyone comprehending a single word. But there she was. 25 years old, impeccable uniform, tray balanced in her left hand, and her eyes fixed on the 50-year-old businessman who, seconds before, was smiling confidently while explaining to the young American CEO how the last-minute adjustments were just standard formalities in China. The CEO was 30 years old, heir to a tech empire built by his father, Stanford graduate, accustomed to closing million-dollar deals before breakfast. But something about this dinner had bothered him from the start. "Excuse me," the CEO said, slowly placing his whiskey glass on the table. "But, did you just say something in Chinese?" The waitress didn't look away from Mr. Zhang. "I said that's not what the contract says, sir." Mr. Zhang forced a laugh. "My dear, I think you're confusing our private conversation. Clause 17, subsection B," she continued, her eyes piercing the businessman like a laser. "You're not offering 60% operational control. You're offering 60% nominal control, with veto clauses that effectively reduce actual control to less than 20%. The entire restaurant seemed to have stopped, breathing. The Chinese assistant let the tablet slip in her hands. Zhang had paled in a way that no artificial tan could disguise. The CEO slowly leaned back in his chair, a smile beginning to form. It wasn't amusement. It was the smile of a shark sensing blood in the water. "Continue," he said to the waitress. "I'm listening." The waitress took a deep breath. 3 years ago, I worked as a junior translator in Shanghai. One of the companies I served was a subsidiary of Mr. Zhang's conglomerate. The Chinese businessman stood abruptly. "This is absurd." "Sit down," the CEO's voice cut like a blade. "It wasn't a request. It was an order." Mr. Zhang hesitated, then sat. "The contract you're about to sign is an almost exact replica of the agreement Zhang's conglomerate used to absorb Tech Vision Industries in 2021. They thought they were entering a balanced joint venture. 18 months later, they discovered they no longer had control over the very technology they'd developed." The CEO turned to the Chinese assistant. "You were here to make sure every word was recorded, weren't you? So there would be proof I verbally agreed, even if the written contract said something completely different." The assistant didn't respond. The CEO picked up the 140-page contract and tore it, page by page, methodically and silently, while Mr. Zhang watched his $700 million scam fall apart. "Dinner's over," the CEO finally said, standing. He pulled out his wallet, left some bills, then turned to the waitress. "What's your name?" "Sarah Chen, sir. You have 5 minutes to get your things." "You're fired." Sarah's heart plummeted. "Because starting tomorrow morning, you work for me as my new Director of International Business Intelligence. Starting salary of $250,000 annually, plus bonuses. Interested?" Sarah could barely nod. As the CEO left, he paused at the door. "Oh, and Mr. Zhang? My lawyers will be in touch. If I find out you tried this scam with any other American company, there won't be a place in the world where you can do business again." The door closed with a soft click, and so began the fall of Mr. Zhang's empire. Triggered by a waitress who couldn't stay silent when she heard a lie, Sarah Chen stood in the empty hallway, hands trembling as she untied her apron. The manager had barely looked at her during the termination. 20 minutes. That's how long it had taken for her entire life to flip upside down. She stared at the business card. Michael Rhodes, Chief Executive Officer, Rhodes Technologies. Handwritten on the back, "My office. 9 a.m. Don't be late." Her phone buzzed. Her roommate, "Girl, where are you?" "Rent's due in 3 days." Sarah closed her eyes. She had $800 in her account, and had just walked away from her only steady income. What had she done? Miss Chen? A woman in her 40s, sharp gray suit, leather briefcase. I'm Amanda Wu, General Counsel for Rhodes Technologies. Mr. Rhodes asked me to ensure you got home safely. She held out an envelope. Signing bonus. Inside was a check for $50,000. Sarah's knees nearly buckled. I don't understand. It's real. You can deposit it tonight. Mr. Rhodes is serious. Amanda pulled out a tablet. I need you to sign some preliminary paperwork. Non-disclosure agreements, mostly. What you witnessed tonight. It's complicated. Is he going to sue Mr. Zhang? That depends on what we find. And that's where you come in. Amanda gestured toward the private dining room. Do you have a few minutes? 5 minutes later, Sarah sat across from Amanda. The lawyer opened her briefcase. How much do you know about Zhang Industries? Only what I saw working in Shanghai. I was fresh out of college, worked for a translation firm. Zhang Industries was one of our clients. And you remember the Tech Vision deal? I heard translators talking. They said it was brilliant, legally. Everything was technically above board, but the clauses were structured with subtle differences between English and Mandarin versions. Sarah paused. By the time Tech Vision realized what they'd agreed to, it was too late. Tech Vision lost everything. 200 employees, a decade of research, 3 revolutionary patents, all absorbed within 18 months. Amanda leaned forward. We believe Zhang has done this at least 6 times. 6 times? How is he not in prison? Because he's smart. He targets mid-sized American tech companies with groundbreaking technology, but limited legal resources. He offers partnership deals that look generous on the surface. Amanda's jaw tightened. They don't realize they're signing away control until it's too late. And by then, the contracts are in Chinese courts, where Zhang has connections at the highest levels. Sarah felt sick. And Mr. Rhodes was about to be number 7? Rhodes Technologies developed an AI chip that processes quantum calculations at room temperature. Michael's father spent 20 years developing it before he died last year. Michael inherited everything, including the pressure to take it public. Amanda's expression softened. He's brilliant but young. Zhang saw an opportunity. Why did you do it, Sarah? You had to know you'd get fired. Sarah thought about her immigrant parents working brutal hours to send her to college. Her father's words. We didn't come to America so you could stay silent when you see something wrong. Because it was wrong. I've seen what Zhang does to people. The Tech Vision founders lost everything. Saw one of them in Shanghai afterward, just broken. I couldn't let that happen again. Amanda slid a document across the table. Your employment contract. But really, you're going to be our secret weapon. We're not just protecting Rhodes Technologies. We're going to take down Zhang's entire operation. Sarah's hands shook. Can we really do that? He has senators, judges, he has connections. But we have the truth, and we have you. Amanda pulled out a pen. Once you sign, there's no going back. Zhang will come after you with everything he has. Sarah thought about her tiny apartment, her student loans, the impossibility of her current life ever changing. Then she thought about that broken founder in Shanghai. She took the pen. Where do I sign? Amanda smiled. Not warm, but sharp. A warrior who'd found an ally. Welcome to Rhodes Technologies, Director Chen. As Sarah signed, she didn't notice the figure at the kitchen entrance. Zhang's assistant filming everything on her phone, smiling. Sarah didn't sleep that night. She sat in her cramped studio apartment, the $50,000 check on the coffee table in front of her, glowing like radioactive material under the dim lamp. Every few minutes, she'd pick it up, hold it to the light, convince herself it was real, then set it down again. At 3 a.m., her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Then something made her swipe. Miss Chen. The voice was female, accented, controlled. My name is Lin Zhao. I was Mr. Zhang's assistant tonight. The woman with the tablet. Sarah's blood ran cold. How did you get this number? That's not important. What's important is that you listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. A pause, then. You made a terrible mistake tonight. I stopped a fraud. That's not a mistake. You stopped one deal, one. Lin's voice was sharp now. Do you have any idea what you've actually done? Zhang Industries has operations in 17 countries. Assets worth billions. Connections to people who make problems disappear. Another pause, heavier this time. People like you. Sarah's hand tightened on the phone. Are you threatening me? I'm warning you. There's a difference. Lin's voice softened slightly. I've worked for Mr. Zhang for 4 years. I've seen what happens to people who cross him. A whistleblower in Singapore, a journalist in Hong Kong, a lawyer in San Francisco who asked too many questions. She let that hang in the air. They all thought they were protected. They all thought the truth would save them. And what happened to them? Silence. Long enough that Sarah thought the call had dropped. Then, the lawyer's car went off a bridge. Brake failure, they said. The journalist fell from his apartment balcony. Suicide, they ruled. The whistleblower, Lin's voice cracked slightly. They found him in his home. Heart attack. He was 32 years old. Sarah felt her apartment suddenly grow colder. Why are you telling me this? Because I don't want you to be next. Lin took a breath. Mr. Zhang is flying back to Shanghai tomorrow morning. But before he goes, he's going to mobilize everything he has against you and Rhodes Technologies. Lawyers, private investigators, hackers. He's going to dig into every corner of your life, find every weakness, every secret. A pause. And he's going to destroy you with it. I don't have any secrets. Everyone has secrets, Miss Chen. Lin's voice was almost gentle now. That roommate you mentioned in your background check, Jenny Martinez, the one who's 3 days from eviction? How do you think she'd react if someone offered her $20,000 for information about you? Or your mother in Queens still working at that laundromat at 63 years old? What if suddenly the health inspectors found violations? Or the landlord decided to triple her rent? Sarah's throat tightened. You wouldn't, I wouldn't, but Zhang would. Without hesitation, Lin sighed. I'm calling you because I'm tired of watching this happen. I'm tired of being complicit. But I'm also not brave enough to do what you did tonight. So instead, I'm giving you this one warning. Take the money Rhodes gave you, disappear, change your name. Start over somewhere Zhang can't find you. I can't do that. Why not? Because running doesn't stop him. It just means he wins again. Sarah stood, pacing her tiny apartment. How many more companies will he destroy? How many more people will lose everything because someone stayed silent? Better them than you. No. Sarah's voice was firm now. Not better them. Someone has to stop this. If not me, then who? Lin was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, smaller. I have files, documents, emails between Zhang and his lawyers detailing every deal, every manipulation, every payoff. I've been collecting them for 2 years, ever since I realized what kind of man I was working for. Sarah stopped pacing. Why haven't you given them to anyone? Because I'm a coward. Lin's voice broke. Because I've seen what happens to people who cross Zhang, and I don't want to die. Because I have a younger sister in Beijing who's counting on the money I send home. Because... She trailed off. Because it's easier to stay silent. But you're calling me now. Yes, why? Because tonight, watching you stand up to Zhang in that restaurant. Lin took a shaky breath. Because for the first time in 4 years, I saw someone fight back. And I remembered what it feels like to have courage. A pause. The files are encrypted and stored in a secure cloud server. If something happens to me, they're set to automatically send to the FBI, the SEC, and the New York Times. But if you want access to them now, if you want to build your case against Zhang... She paused. I can help you. Sarah's heart was pounding. What do you need? Protection. For me and my sister. Do identities, relocation, everything. Can Rhodes Technologies do that? I don't know. But I can ask, then ask quickly. Zhang's flight leaves at 8 a.m. Once he's in Shanghai, he's untouchable. But if you can stop him before he boards that plane, if you can get authorities involved with enough evidence that they have to act... Lin's voice hardened with something like hope. Maybe we can actually win this. Sarah looked at the clock. 4:17 a.m. Less than 4 hours. Send me everything you have. I'll call Amanda Wu right now. Miss Chen? Lin's voice was quiet again. Thank you. For being brave enough for both of us. The call ended. Sarah stared at her phone for exactly 3 seconds. Then she dialed Amanda's number. It rang once. Director Chen, I was wondering when you'd call. How did you? Because I would have done the same thing in your position. What do you need? Sarah took a breath. How fast can you get witness protection arranged? Amanda Wu's black Mercedes pulled up to Sarah's apartment at 4:47 a.m. She wasn't alone. Michael Rhodes sat in the back seat, still wearing his suit from dinner, his eyes sharp despite the hour. Sarah slid into the car, her laptop clutched against her chest. Lin Zhao sent the first batch of files. There are hundreds of documents. Show me, Michael said. Sarah opened her laptop. The screen filled with folders, each labeled with a company name and date. TechVision Industries, Quantum Dynamics, Neural Path Systems. 6 companies total, just like Amanda had said. But there was a 7th folder, dated 3 months from now. Horizon Aerospace, Michael read aloud, his face darkening. That's Senator Morrison's nephew's company. They're developing satellite technology for the Defense Department. Amanda leaned forward. Zhang was planning to target a defense contractor? Not just planning. Sarah clicked open the folder. Inside were detailed emails, financial projections, even draft contracts. He's already made contact. The meeting is scheduled for January 15th. The car went silent. If Zhang gets his hands on defense technology, Amanda didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. Michael pulled out his phone. I'm calling the FBI. Wait. Sarah grabbed his arm. Lin said Zhang's flight leaves at 8. If we call the FBI now, by the time they mobilize, verify everything, get the proper warrants, he'll be gone. Once he's in Shanghai, he's untouchable, Amanda finished. Chinese government will protect him. Extradition will take years if it happens at all. Michael checked his watch. We have 3 hours and 13 minutes. What do you suggest? Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard. Lin gave me access to Zhang's travel itinerary. He's flying private out of Teterboro Airport, Gate 7. Security there isn't TSA, it's private contractors. Easier to get through, which is exactly why he chose it. So we need to stop him before he reaches the airport, Amanda said, or stop the plane from taking off. Sarah pulled up another file. According to these emails, Zhang is traveling with hard drives containing source code from all 6 companies he's absorbed. Everything. Patents, research data, proprietary algorithms. He's physically carrying proof of corporate espionage. Michael's eyes lit up. Which means if law enforcement finds those drives on him, it's not just breach of contract anymore. It's theft of intellectual property, possibly industrial espionage. Amanda was already dialing. I have a contact at the U.S. Attorney's Office. If I can get him these files in the next hour, maybe we can get an emergency warrant. Will an hour be enough? Sarah asked. It has to be. Amanda pressed the phone to her ear. David, it's Amanda Wu. I need you to wake up the judge. Yes, I know what time it is. I'm sending you evidence of the biggest corporate espionage case in the last decade, and the suspect is leaving the country in 3 hours. Yes, I'll hold. Michael turned to Sarah. Lin Zhao, where is she now? Still at Zhang's hotel. The Peninsula. She said she'd wait for confirmation of witness protection before making her move. If Zhang suspects she's the leak, I know. Sarah's stomach twisted. Amanda, how fast can we arrange protection? Amanda covered the phone. Federal marshals can have someone at the Peninsula in 45 minutes, but they won't move without authorization from the U.S. Attorney's Office, which means... She uncovered the phone. David, yes, I'm here. What do you mean you need corroboration? Sarah watched Amanda's face fall. He needs a witness, Amanda said slowly. Someone who can testify to first-hand knowledge of Zhang's operations. The documents alone aren't enough for an emergency warrant. Lin Zhao, Michael said immediately. Who's currently in a hotel room with the man we're trying to arrest? Amanda shook her head. If we pull her out now, Zhang will know something's wrong. He'll destroy evidence, change his travel plans, disappear. So we're stuck, Sarah said. We need Lin to testify to get the warrant, but we need the warrant to protect Lin. The car fell silent again, the engine idling at a red light. Outside, Manhattan was still dark, the streets empty except for a few early morning joggers and delivery trucks. Then Michael spoke, his voice quiet but certain. Not stuck. We need a distraction. What kind of distraction? Amanda asked. The kind that keeps Zhang occupied while we extract Lin, get her testimony, and secure the warrant. Michael pulled out his phone. I'm going to do something incredibly stupid. Michael, no, Amanda said immediately. I'm going to the peninsula. I'm going to knock on Zhang's door and tell him I've reconsidered his offer. That's insane, Sarah said. He'll know it's a trap. Maybe. Or maybe he'll be so confident, so certain that he's already won, that he'll believe a 30-year-old CEO got cold feet in the middle of the night. Michael's smile was cold. Ego is a powerful thing, Sarah, and Zhang's ego is enormous. Amanda was shaking her head, but Sarah could see the calculation in her eyes. If you can keep him talking for even 30 minutes, I can buy you an hour. Michael was already texting. I'll bring my attorney, make it look legitimate. We'll request a meeting in the hotel restaurant, somewhere public. While Zhang is focused on me, we extract Lynn from her room, get her to the U.S. Attorney's office, and secure the testimony. Amanda was nodding now, the plan taking shape. It could work. It has to work, Michael said. Because if Zhang gets on that plane, everything Sarah risked tonight, everything Lin Zhao is risking now, all of it was for nothing. Sarah looked at the clock on her laptop. 5:23 a.m., 2 hours and 37 minutes until Zhang's flight departed. Let's move, Amanda said. The Mercedes accelerated into the darkness, racing toward the Peninsula Hotel, where a billionaire CEO was about to walk into the lion's den to save a whistleblower he'd never met. And in her hotel room 3 floors above Zhang's suite, Linja sat with her packed suitcase staring at her phone, waiting for the message that would either save her life or end it. The Peninsula Hotel lobby was marble and gold, the kind of understated luxury that whispered old money. Michael Rhodes walked through the entrance at 5:41 a.m., his attorney beside him, both men wearing the exhausted determination of executives who'd been negotiating all night. Zhang was already in the restaurant, alone, sipping green tea. He looked up as Michael approached, and for just a moment, surprise flickered across his face. Then the mask slid back into place, confident, welcoming, grandfatherly. Mr. Rhodes, this is unexpected. I couldn't sleep, Michael said, sliding into the chair across from him. Kept thinking about your offer. About what my father would have wanted. Zhang's eyes gleamed. Ah, the weight of legacy. I understand this burden very well. 3 floors up, Amanda Wu and Sarah Chen stood outside room 847. Amanda knocked softly, 3 times. Pause. Then 3 more knocks. The door opened a crack. Lin Zhao's face appeared, pale and drawn. You came. We don't have much time, Amanda said. Is everything packed? Lin nodded, grabbing a small suitcase. The hard drives are in here. 7 years of evidence. Every deal, every contract, every email. Her hands were shaking. If Zhang finds out I'm gone, he won't, Sarah said, though her own heart was pounding. Michael's keeping him busy downstairs. They moved quickly down the service hallway, avoiding the main elevators. Amanda had mapped out the route in advance. Service elevator to the basement, through the loading dock into a waiting SUV with tinted windows. In the restaurant, Michael was leaning forward, his voice earnest. The thing is, Mr. Zhang, I realized something tonight. My father spent his whole life building this technology, but he also spent his whole life alone, paranoid, trusting no one. He paused. I don't want to end up like that. Maybe partnership isn't weakness. Maybe it's wisdom. Zhang smiled, a genuine smile this time. The smile of a predator who'd just watched its prey walk into the trap. Your father was a brilliant man, but yes, perhaps too cautious. Too afraid to think globally. He signaled the waiter. Let me call my assistant. She has the revised contracts in her room. We can review them now, sign before breakfast. Michael's blood went cold. Your assistant? Lin Zhao, yes. Very efficient woman. Zhang pulled out his phone. She'll be delighted we've reached an agreement. Actually, Michael said quickly, I'd prefer to have my legal team review everything first. You know, proper due diligence. My father always said never sign anything before 9 a.m. Zhang's finger hovered over his phone. His eyes narrowed slightly. Mr. Rhodes, you came here at 5 in the morning to tell me you've reconsidered, but now you want to delay? The service elevator doors opened. Amanda, Sarah, and Lynn stepped into the basement corridor. Empty. The loading dock was 20 feet away, 15 feet, 10. In the restaurant, Michael felt sweat beading on his neck. Zhang was still staring at him, phone in hand, suspicion growing in his eyes. You're right, Michael said. Let's call her. Get the contracts. Do this properly. It was the only play he had left. Agree, act eager, buy more time. Zhang's expression relaxed slightly. He dialed. In the loading dock, Lin's phone buzzed in her pocket. All three women froze. Don't answer it, Amanda whispered. The phone kept buzzing once, twice, 3 times. In the restaurant, Zhang frowned. She always answers. 4 times, 5, Lin's face had gone white. He knows. He knows I'm gone. The phone stopped buzzing. Zhang stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Excuse me, Mr. Rhodes, I need to check on something. Mr. Zhang, wait. But Zhang was already moving, striding toward the elevator, phone pressed to his ear. Michael watched him go, then immediately texted Amanda. Compromised, he's coming. In the loading dock, Amanda's phone lit up with the message. Move now! They ran for the SUV, Lynn stumbling on her heels, Sarah grabbing her arm to steady her. The driver already had the engine running, passenger door open. Lynn dove into the back seat. Sarah followed. Amanda was reaching for the door handle when she heard it, the basement access door slamming open. Zhang stood in the doorway, his face no longer friendly, no longer charming. It was the face of a man who'd built an empire on ruthlessness and wasn't about to let it crumble. Lynn, he shouted, stop! Amanda jumped into the SUV. Drive, now! The vehicle lurched forward as Zhang sprinted after them, one hand reaching into his jacket. For a terrible moment, Sarah thought he might have a gun, but instead he pulled out his phone, already dialing, already mobilizing. The SUV burst out of the loading dock into the gray, pre-dawn light of Manhattan. Behind them, Zhang stood in the middle of the street, phone to his ear, watching them disappear. And he smiled, not the grandfatherly smile from the restaurant. This was something else entirely. The smile of a man who'd been playing chess while everyone else played checkers. Because Zhang had a contingency plan. He always had a contingency plan. Inside the SUV, Lynn was sobbing with relief. We did it. We actually did it. But Amanda was staring at her phone, her face ashen. No, we didn't. What do you mean? Sarah asked. Amanda turned the phone around. On the screen was a news alert posted 2 minutes ago. Breaking federal judge Martin Kozlowski, who presided over multiple international corporate cases, found dead in his home. Apparent heart attack. Investigation ongoing, Judge Kozlowski. The same judge who would have issued the warrant to stop Zhang. The same judge who was supposed to be reviewing their evidence right now. He killed him, Lynn whispered. Zhang killed the judge. Sarah felt the world tilt. How? How could he have known we'd go to Kozlowski? Because he didn't just have one judge in his pocket, Amanda said quietly. He had all of them. Every federal judge in the Southern District. Every prosecutor. Every law enforcement official who matters. She looked at Lynn. You said Zhang had connections at the highest levels. I didn't realize you meant this high. The SUV fell silent except for the hum of the engine and the sound of Lynn's quiet crying. Michael's voice came through Amanda's phone speaker. Tell me you got Lynn out. We got her out. But Amanda, Sarah's voice cracked. What do we do now? If Zhang owns the courts, owns the prosecutors, how do we stop him? Amanda stared out the window at the city waking up around them. Millions of people starting their day, completely unaware that somewhere in their midst, a predator walked free. I don't know, she said finally, but we'd better figure it out fast. Because Zhang's flight leaves in 90 minutes, and once he's in Shanghai, we'll never touch him again. The SUV pulled into an underground parking garage in Midtown. Amanda had them switch vehicles twice, a precaution that felt increasingly futile. If Zhang had the resources to eliminate a federal judge in under an hour, what chance did they have? Michael was waiting in the second vehicle, a nondescript Honda Civic. His tie was loose, his face grim. Judge Kozlowski's death is all over the news. They're calling it natural causes, but the timing... There's no such thing as coincidence with Zhang, Lynn said quietly from the back seat. He probably had the judge under surveillance the moment you made contact. One phone call and she made a gesture. Heart attack, untraceable. So what now? Sarah asked. Every judge is compromised. We can't go through official channels. We go public, Michael said. Release everything to the press. Amanda shook her head. Zhang will have that covered too. Defamation lawsuits, injunctions, gag orders. By the time any news organization verifies the documents and clears legal, he'll be halfway to Shanghai. Sarah checked her phone. 6:38 a.m. We have 1 hour and 22 minutes. Lynn opened her suitcase, pulling out one of the hard drives. There's something else. Something I didn't mention. She plugged it into Sarah's laptop. Zhang doesn't just steal technology. He sells it to the highest bidder. The screen filled with transaction records. Millions of dollars moving through shell corporations. But it was the client list that made everyone in the car go silent. That's the Chinese Ministry of State Security, Amanda whispered. And that's a sanctioned Russian oligarch. North Korean accounts. She looked up at Lynn. He's been selling stolen American technology to hostile foreign governments? For 7 years, Lynn confirmed. The corporate espionage was just acquisition. The real money came from reselling secrets. She scrolled through files. Quantum computing algorithms to China. Neural interface protocols to Russia. Satellite encryption keys to countries that shouldn't even know this technology exists. Michael's face had gone white. This isn't corporate fraud anymore. This is treason. This is national security, which means different jurisdiction, Amanda said slowly. Federal courts can be compromised, but military intelligence, NSA, CIA, those are different chains of command. Sarah was already searching. Camp Smith, National Guard base 40 minutes north. They have an Army intelligence detachment. Zhang's flight leaves from Teterboro, Michael said, pulling up a map. That's 25 minutes west. If we go to Camp Smith first, we'll never make it back in time. Then we split up, Amanda decided. Sarah, Lynn, and I go to Camp Smith with the evidence. Michael, you go to Teterboro. Stall that plane any way you can. File injunctions, safety complaints, whatever it takes. One problem, Lynn said. Zhang will have security at the airport. Private contractors, probably armed. Then I'll be very public about it, Michael said. Live stream everything. Make it impossible for Zhang to make me disappear without witnesses. Sarah was already working. I'll link your phone to cloud servers in 3 different countries. Even if they take your phone, the stream keeps broadcasting. Her fingers flew. And I'm alerting every tech journalist I know. By the time you get to Teterboro, you'll have an audience. We leave in 2 minutes. Michael checked his watch. Amanda, how long to reach Camp Smith? 35 minutes if we push it. So 7:15 earliest. Plus time to convince military intelligence this is real. Michael did the math. Zhang's flight leaves at 8. Even if everything goes perfectly, we're cutting this impossibly close. It's the only play we have, Amanda said. They transferred the hard drives to Amanda's vehicle. Sarah copied everything to encrypted cloud storage. Lynn sat silent, staring at her hands. Lynn, Sarah said gently, why did you really stay so long? Lynn was quiet. Because I told myself I was just an assistant, just following orders, that I wasn't really responsible. She looked up, tears in her eyes. But you can't just follow orders when the orders destroy lives. When they betray your country. It's not too late, Sarah said. You're doing the right thing now, does it? Lynn asked. Will it count if Zhang gets away? No one answered. Because courage doesn't erase the past. It only shapes the future. Michael opened the car door. Okay, Camp Smith team, you leave now. I'll give you a 10-minute head start. He pulled out his phone. If this goes wrong, if Zhang comes after any of you, you have full access to Rhodes Technologies' resources. I take care of my people. Sarah felt a lump in her throat. 12 hours ago, she'd been serving appetizers. Michael, she said, be careful. Zhang is desperate now. Michael smiled without humor. So do people with nothing left to lose. He climbed into his car and gave them one final nod. Then he was gone, heading toward Teterboro Airport. Toward a confrontation with a man who'd killed a federal judge before breakfast. Amanda started the engine. Everyone ready? Sarah and Lynn nodded. Then let's go stop a traitor. The drive to Camp Smith was silent except for Lynn's fingers typing frantically on her laptop. She was organizing files, creating a presentation that would make the evidence impossible to ignore. There, Lynn said finally, turning her screen around. Timeline of every theft, every sale, every transaction, cross-referenced with dates Zhang met with foreign agents. I even have recordings. Recordings? Amanda's eyes snapped to the rearview mirror. Zhang liked to practice his pitches with me. He'd rehearse how he'd sell the technology. He never realized I was recording everything. Sarah felt a chill. You've been planning this for a while. 2 years. Ever since I saw what happened to TechVision's founder. He came to our Shanghai office begging for his patents back. Zhang had security throw him out like garbage. Lin's voice hardened. That's when I started keeping records. They reached Camp Smith at 7:09 a.m. The guard looked skeptical when Amanda announced they needed to speak with Army intelligence immediately. Ma'am, you can't just walk into a military base. Call Colonel Richardson, Amanda interrupted, sliding a business card through the window. Tell her Amanda Wu from Rhodes Technologies is here, with evidence of technology transfer to hostile foreign governments. Tell her the suspect is boarding a plane in 51 minutes. The guard's expression changed. He picked up his phone. 3 minutes later, they were in a conference room with Colonel Richardson, a stern woman in her 50s, and 2 intelligence analysts. You have 5 minutes to convince me this isn't a waste of time, Richardson said. Lin opened her laptop. 3 years ago, Zhang Industries acquired neural interface technology from TechVision. 6 months later, this technology appeared in Chinese military research papers. She pulled up side-by-side comparisons, identical, down to the error corrections in the code. One of the analysts leaned forward. That's the quantum entanglement protocol. That's classified DoD research. TechVision had a DARPA contract, Lin confirmed. Zhang knew that. It's why he targeted them. She pulled up more files. Satellite encryption from Quantum Dynamics. AI targeting systems from Neural Path. Every company Zhang absorbed had military contracts. Every piece of stolen technology ended up in foreign hands. Richardson's face had gone granite hard. How much did he sell? Over $200 million worth. Lin pulled up transaction records. These payments came from Chinese intelligence. These from Russian oligarchs. These from shell corporations in Pyongyang. The room went silent. Where is Zhang now? Richardson asked quietly. Teterboro Airport, Amanda said. Private flight to Shanghai, departing at 8 a.m. 37 minutes from now. Richardson was already on her phone. This is Colonel Richardson, Camp Smith Intelligence. I need an immediate hold on all aircraft at Teterboro Airport. She rattled off authorization codes. Ground everything now, she hung up. Done. No planes leave Teterboro until we clear this. FBI counterintelligence is being notified. Sarah felt relief wash over her. It's over. We actually stopped him. But Lin was staring at her laptop, her face pale. No, it's not over. What do you mean? Amanda asked. Lin turned the screen around. It showed a flight tracking app. Zhang's plane. It's already in the air. That's impossible, Richardson said. I just ordered the ground stop. Look at the departure time. Lin's finger trembled. 7:04 a.m. He took off 5 minutes before we got here. The room spun. Sarah couldn't breathe. But his flight was scheduled for 8. It was a decoy, Lin whispered. He never planned to leave at 8. He knew from the moment I didn't answer his call that I'd turned. He knew we'd try to stop him. So he moved up his departure. Amanda grabbed the phone. Which direction? The analyst pulled up radar data. Northeast. Canadian airspace. He's not going to Shanghai. He's going to Vancouver. Why Vancouver? Sarah asked. Because Canada has no extradition treaty with the U.S. for economic crimes, Amanda said bitterly. And from Vancouver, he can fly anywhere. China, Russia, anywhere that will protect him. Richardson was already mobilizing. I'm contacting NORAD. If that plane crosses into Canadian airspace with classified technology, we might be able to force it down. Might? Sarah's voice cracked. Canadian government has to cooperate. And if Zhang has the connections you say he does. Richardson didn't finish. Lin closed her laptop slowly. He's going to get away. Sarah's phone buzzed. Michael, at Teterboro. Airport says Zhang's plane left an hour ago. Different gate, different flight plan. He played us. Sarah looked at the hard drives on the table. 7 years of evidence. All of it useless if Zhang made it to a country that wouldn't extradite him. There has to be something, she said. He can't just win. Lin stood abruptly. There's one more thing. Zhang has a daughter. 22 years old, studying at Columbia. Wei Zhang. She's brilliant, kind, everything her father isn't. Lin's voice was tight. She doesn't know what her father does. She thinks he's legitimate, and she worships him. Sarah's mind raced. Where is she now? Her apartment near campus. Because, Sarah said slowly, Zhang might run from the government, from all of us. But would he run from his daughter? Would he leave the country forever if it meant never seeing her again? Amanda's eyes widened. You want to use his daughter? Not leverage, truth. Sarah grabbed her phone. We tell her everything. Show her the evidence. Give her the choice to contact him, to tell him she knows. Richardson checked her watch. Zhang's plane will be in Canadian airspace in 12 minutes. Then we have 12 minutes, Sarah said. She dialed Michael. Change of plans. Meet us at Columbia University. How are we stopping him? With the one weapon he never expected, Sarah said. Love. The apartment building near Columbia's campus was brick and ivy, the kind of place where trust fund kids pretended to live modestly. Sarah, Amanda, and Lynn stood outside apartment 4B, while Michael waited in the car, ready to coordinate with Richardson. Lynn knocked. Soft footsteps approached. The door opened. Mei Zhang was petite, wearing Columbia sweatpants and an oversized t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a messy bun. She looked at the three women with polite confusion. Can I help you? Miss Zhang, Amanda said gently. My name is Amanda Wu. I'm an attorney. We need to talk to you about your father. May's expression shifted immediately to wariness. If this is about a lawsuit or business, you should contact his lawyers. I don't get involved in… Your father is a traitor, Lynn said bluntly. May's face hardened. Excuse me? Who the hell do you… Then she really looked at Lynn. Recognition flickered. Wait, you're Lin Zhao. You work for my father. What is this? I worked for your father, Lin corrected. Past tense. And yes, I know exactly who he is and what he's done. That's why I'm here. She held up the hard drive. May we come in? You deserve to know the truth. 5 minutes later, they sat in May's small living room. Photos covered the walls. May with her father at her high school graduation, at college orientation, at a charity gala. In every photo, Zhang looked proud, loving, the perfect father. Lynn opened her laptop. I'm going to show you things that will destroy the image you have of your father. I'm sorry for that, but his plane is crossing into Canadian airspace in 7 minutes, and after that, he's gone forever. So we don't have time to be gentle. She pulled up the first file. Transaction records. Your father doesn't just run a technology company. He systematically targets American tech firms, steals their intellectual property through fraudulent contracts, then sells that technology to foreign governments. May shook her head. That's insane. My father is a respected businessman. He's donated millions to create a cover. Lynn interrupted. She pulled up more files. Tech Vision Industries. Your father destroyed them in 2021. The founder, David Chen, lost everything. His company, his patents, his savings. He had a nervous breakdown. She pulled up a photo. This is David Chen now. He works at a grocery store in Oakland because your father's lawyers made sure he could never work in tech again. May's face had gone pale. This could be fabricated. Anyone could… Listen to this, Lynn said and pressed play on an audio file. Zhang's voice filled the room, speaking Mandarin. The Americans are so trusting. They see Chinese partnership and think opportunity. They don't realize until too late that they've signed away everything. Another voice, also in Mandarin. And the MSS payment? Cleared through the usual channels. They're particularly interested in the quantum algorithms. May's hands were shaking. When was this recorded? 3 months ago, Lynn said quietly. In your father's office in Shanghai. I was there, I recorded it. Sarah leaned forward. May, I know this is overwhelming, but your father's plane is about to leave U.S. jurisdiction. Once he's in Canada, he can disappear to China or Russia or anywhere that will protect him. Military intelligence wants to stop him, but legally their options are limited. What do you want from me? May's voice was barely a whisper. Call him, Amanda said. Tell him you know what he's done. Tell him that if he runs, he'll never see you again. That if he has any love for you at all, he'll turn the plane around and face justice. He won't listen to me. You're the only person he might listen to, Sarah said. We've tried everything else. Legal channels, military intervention, everything. But you're his daughter. You're the one thing in the world he claims to love more than money or power. May stood walking to the window. Outside, students rushed to Sunday brunch, completely unaware that in this small apartment, the fate of a multi-billion-dollar espionage operation hung in balance. I need to see more, May said finally. All of it, every file, every recording, every piece of evidence. Because if I'm going to destroy my father's life, I need to be absolutely certain he deserves it. Lynn began pulling up files. Company after company. Deal after deal. 7 years of systematic theft and betrayal. 20 minutes later, May sat with her head in her hands, tears streaming down her face. Oh, God. Oh, my God. Sarah's phone buzzed. Michael. Richardson says the plane is over Canadian airspace. It's now or never, May, Sarah said gently. We're out of time. May wiped her eyes and picked up her phone with trembling hands. She dialed a number labeled Dad with a heart emoji. It rang once, twice. Zhang's voice, warm and paternal. May, sweetheart, I was just thinking about you. I'm on my way to Shanghai for business, but I'll be back for your birthday next month. I promise. May closed her eyes. When she spoke, her voice was steady. Dad, I know everything. I know about Tech Vision, about the sales to Chinese intelligence, about all of it. Silence on the other end, long and heavy. Then, May, whatever lies they've told you, Lin Zhao is sitting in my living room right now, with recordings of your voice, with transaction records, with testimony from every company you destroyed. Her voice broke. Dad, how could you? Another long silence. May, listen to me very carefully. Those people are trying to use you. They want... Turn the plane around, Dad. What? Turn the plane around. Come back. Face what you've done. Tears were streaming down her face now. Because if you don't, if you run to China or Russia or wherever you're really going, then I'm done. No more calls, no more visits, no more birthdays or holidays or pretending you're someone you're not. May, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. Her voice was steel now. Turn around or lose me forever. Choose. The line went quiet. The silence on the phone stretched so long that Sarah thought the connection had dropped. May sat frozen, tears streaming down her face, phone pressed to her ear. Then Zhang's voice came back, but it was different now. Not the warm, paternal tone from before. This was the voice of the man who'd built an empire on ruthlessness. You have no idea what you're asking me to do. I know exactly what I'm asking, May said. I'm asking you to be the man you always told me you were. The man who said integrity matters more than money. The man who taught me that running from your mistakes makes you a coward. This isn't about mistakes, May. This is about survival. If I go back, I'll spend the rest of my life in prison. Maybe you should. Her voice cracked. Maybe that's what you deserve. Another pause. Sarah could hear background noise on the phone. Voices speaking urgent Mandarin, the hum of the jet engines. They're going to take everything from me, Zhang said quietly. The company, the money, my reputation, everything I've built. You didn't build it, Dad. You stole it. May wiped her eyes. From people who trusted you. From people whose lives you destroyed. David Chen from Tech Vision? He trusted you. He believed in partnership and cooperation. And you took everything from him? Business is war, May. I taught you that. No, Dad, you taught me that honor matters. That your word is your bond. That trust is sacred. She looked at Lynn, at Sarah, at Amanda. But those were just words, weren't they? Just things you said to make me think you were a good man while you were betraying everyone who believed in you. Zhang was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. Do you remember when you were 7? You broke your mother's favorite vase playing soccer in the house. You were so scared to tell her. I remember. I told you that hiding from consequences doesn't make them go away. That the only way to truly move forward is to face what you've done and accept the punishment. He laughed bitterly. I was a better father than I realized. Teaching lessons I should have followed myself. May's breath caught. Dad, but May, you have to understand. The things I've done, the people I've made deals with. If I go back, if I face charges, there are governments who will see me as a liability. Chinese intelligence, Russian contacts, they don't let liabilities live very long. Then cooperate, Amanda interjected, speaking up for the first time. Full disclosure. Witness protection. Turn evidence against everyone you've worked with. It's the only way you survive this. Who's that? Zhang's voice sharpened. Amanda Wu, General Counsel for Rhodes Technologies. The company you tried to steal from last night. Amanda's voice was all business. Colonel Richardson from Army Intelligence is on standby. If you turn that plane around right now, I can guarantee you'll make it to custody alive. If you land in Vancouver or anywhere else, you're on your own. And I don't think the Chinese government wants you telling American intelligence everything you know about their operations. More urgent voices in the background. Someone speaking rapid Mandarin arguing. That's my security team, Zhang said. They're telling me to hang up. That you're bluffing. That once I land in Vancouver, I'll be untouchable. They're wrong, Lin spoke up, her voice steady. I've seen the files, Mr. Zhang. I know which Chinese officials you've paid off, which Russian oligarchs you've dealt with. The moment you become a liability instead of an asset, they'll eliminate you. You know I'm right. Zhang was silent again. Dad, May said, her voice breaking completely now. Please don't make me choose between my father and what's right. Please don't make me hate you. Sarah watched May's face, saw the pain there, the desperate hope. This young woman was watching her entire world collapse in real time. Every memory of her father recontextualized as a lie. Michael's voice came through Sarah's phone on speaker. Richardson has 2 F-16s scrambled. If Zhang's plane doesn't turn around in the next 60 seconds, they're authorized to force it down. It's happening either way. The only question is whether he cooperates or gets treated as a hostile aircraft. May's eyes widened. They'll shoot down the plane? They'll force it to land at the nearest U.S. airbase, Amanda clarified. But yes, if necessary, they have authorization to prevent classified technology from leaving North American airspace by any means necessary. Dad, did you hear that? May's voice was urgent now. They're sending fighter jets. This is over. The only choice you have left is how it ends. Please just turn around. The background voices on Zhang's end grew louder, more panicked. Then Zhang's voice, clear and decided. Tell the pilots to stand down. I'm turning around. May collapsed back in her chair, sobbing with relief. We're coming back to Teterboro, Zhang continued. But I want guarantees. Full witness protection, reduced sentencing in exchange for testimony, protection from foreign retaliation. You'll get a fair deal, Amanda said. But Mr. Zhang, the moment that plane lands, you're in federal custody. No negotiations, no delays. I understand. His voice was tired now, defeated. May, I'm sorry. For all of it. I told myself I was building something for you, creating a legacy. But all I created was a house of cards built on other people's pain. I know, Dad, May whispered. I know. I love you, sweetheart. That was never a lie. I love you too. She could barely get the words out. But I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't expect you to, Zhang said quietly. I just hope someday you'll understand that I'm not a monster. Just a man who made terrible choices and convinced himself they were necessary. The line went dead. Sarah pulled up the flight tracker on her laptop. After a moment, she saw it. Zhang's plane banking hard, turning back south toward New York. Michael's voice through the phone. Richardson confirms the plane is returning. ETA Teterboro in 42 minutes. FBI, NSA, and military intelligence will all be waiting. Amanda stood, gathering her files. We need to get to Teterboro. This isn't over until Zhang is in custody. May remained seated, staring at her phone. At the photo of her and her father on her home screen. Sarah knelt beside her. Are you okay? No, May said simply. But I will be, eventually. She looked up. Thank you. For giving me the choice to do the right thing. You gave yourself that choice, Sarah said. We just provided the information. The tarmac at Teterboro Airport was a circus of federal vehicles. FBI, NSA, Homeland Security, all waiting in a carefully orchestrated formation. Sarah stood beside Michael and Amanda, watching the sky. There, Michael pointed. Zhang's private jet descended through the gray morning clouds, its landing gear deploying. It touched down smoothly, engines reversing, slowing. The plane taxied toward the waiting convoy, and Sarah felt her entire body tense. $700 million, Michael said quietly. That's what he almost took from me. From my father's legacy. He took more than money from his other victims, Amanda replied. He took their dreams, their futures, their faith in humanity. The plane stopped. Stairs deployed. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then Zhang appeared in the doorway. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Not the confident businessman from the restaurant, but a tired man in an expensive suit who'd finally run out of moves. Federal agents swarmed the plane immediately. Weapons drawn but not aimed. Professional, efficient, absolute. Zhang descended the stairs slowly, hands visible. When his feet touched American soil, an FBI agent stepped forward with handcuffs. Zhang Wei, you're under arrest for industrial espionage, theft of classified technology, conspiracy to commit treason, and violations of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. Zhang didn't resist. He simply nodded as the cuffs clicked shut. Colonel Richardson approached, her face stern. Mr. Zhang, you indicated willingness to cooperate fully in exchange for witness protection. That offer expires the moment you lawyer up and stop talking. Am I clear? Crystal clear, Colonel. Zhang's English was perfect, unaccented. I'll tell you everything. Names, dates, bank accounts, contacts in Beijing, Moscow, Pyongyang. All of it. Good choice. Richardson gestured to her team. Get him processed and transported. I want him in a secure facility within the hour. As agents led Zhang toward an armored vehicle, he turned back, scanning the crowd. His eyes found Sarah. The waitress, he said, almost smiling. You know, I've been destroyed by intelligence agencies, by corporate raiders, by governments, but never by a waitress who happened to speak Mandarin. He shook his head. My father used to say pride comes before the fall. I should have listened. Maybe you should have just been honest, Sarah said. Novel concept, I know. Zhang actually laughed at that. Touché, Miss Chen, touché. Then the agents pushed him into the vehicle and he was gone. Lin stood apart from the group, arms wrapped around herself. Sarah walked over, touched her shoulder gently. You did the right thing. Did I? Lin's voice was hollow. 7 years I helped him. 7 years of being complicit. Does doing the right thing at the end erase all of that? No, Sarah said honestly. But it's a start. Sometimes a start is all we get. Michael joined them, holding his phone. Just got word from the U.S. attorney. With Zhang's cooperation and Lin's testimony, they expect to dismantle his entire network within 6 months. Every corrupt official, every shell corporation, every stolen patent returned to its rightful owner. And the companies he destroyed? Lin asked. TechVision, the others? Can't undo the past, Amanda said, walking up. But Rhodes Technologies will be establishing a fund. $20 million for victims of Zhang's schemes. Job placement, legal support, whatever they need to rebuild. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. 24 hours ago, she was worried about making rent. Now she was part of something that might actually change lives, restore justice, make a difference. What happens now? She asked. Michael smiled. Now? Now you show up to work tomorrow morning as Director of International Business Intelligence. We have a lot of work to do, Director Chen. And me? Lin asked quietly. You testify, you help bring down everyone involved, and then… Amanda paused. Then you get a second chance. What you do with it is up to you. The sun was rising now, burning off the morning clouds. Sarah's phone buzzed with messages from her mother, her roommate, friends who'd seen the news alerts about a major espionage case breaking. She thought about the moment in that restaurant when she'd made the choice to speak up. How easily she could have stayed silent, finished her shift, gone home. How one moment of courage had changed everything. Hey, Michael said, noticing her expression. You good? Yeah, Sarah said and meant it. Just thinking about how fast life can change. For the better? He asked. She looked at the federal vehicles driving away. At Lin standing straighter now. At Amanda already on her phone coordinating the legal fallout. At Michael who'd risked everything to do what was right. Yeah, she said. Definitely for the better. And that's the story. If you enjoyed this 10-block thriller about corporate espionage, courage, and justice, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button and don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Drop a comment below telling us what you thought. Would you have had the courage to speak up like Sarah did? What would you have done differently? Thank you so much for reading all the way to the end. Your support means everything, and it's what keeps these stories coming. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply tell the truth. See you in the next one.